In the last 7 years, I've scaled 3 online businesses past 7 figures, made well over $10 million, coached some of the biggest names in the industry. And in this video, I'm gonna share with you 10 laws that I've learned are the difference between those who stay stuck at 6 or low 7 figures and those who scale past 7 or 8 figures consistently. If you don't know who I am, my name is John Whiting, and my entire goal is to help online coaches just like you make 50 to 100K a month and take home profit, then take that profit and turn it into actual wealth in your bank account so that you can join the real 2 comma club. And that's having 2 commas in your bank account, not just on your Stripe screenshot. And we're fortunate enough to have an incredibly beautiful spa in Mexico all to ourselves for the day as a result of these laws that I'm about to share with you. So while I go through these, I figured I'd show you around because this place is sweet. So the first law, you have to take ultimate 100% responsibility for absolutely everything. There's no such thing as a really rich victim or somebody who blamed their way to the top. You've never heard that story. The reason is that story does not exist. I take the responsibility thing so seriously that I don't work with clients unless they deliberately tell me that they will take 100% responsibility for the results that they get in their business. And I think that's really important, that if you have clients that are kind of a pain in the ass sometimes, that you require them to declare that they're going to take 100% responsibility for their results as well. And by the way, between us, it makes things way easier and you have way less bullshit because they're not pointing the finger at you. And that's actually a good thing. It helps them get better results. And so if you look at some of our testimonials, you'll see client case studies like Justin Saunders, who went from 18K a month to over 435K a month. And that's been a consistent growth trend for him. And he's done that not by blaming anybody else, but by taking full ownership. And so that's what I want for you. So decide right now as you're watching this video that you're going to take full ownership, 100% responsibility for your results. Whether the rest of this video sucks or not, take responsibility for it. That's what we want to do. Rule number 2, and this is a quote that I got from my client, Brandon Carter. I really like the way he framed it. He said, don't ask yourself, what would it take for me to be successful? Ask yourself, what would it take to make failure impossible? And I've taken this to heart. Every goal that I set for myself, I make sure that I say, what would I have to do to overhedge in the direction of that goal and make it impossible to not hit that goal? So if you're pursuing 100K a month, $1 million net worth, you ask yourself, what would I have to do to make it impossible to hit $100,000 in the next 30 days? And by the way, if you go to my Instagram, there's a post that you'll find that maybe I'll be able to show it on the screen, but you'll be able to comment and get a data calculator that'll allow you to basically mathematically project what math it takes over the next 30 days to make 100K in profit. So ask yourself, what would I have to do to make failure impossible? And you will hit your goals way faster with way more of a degree of certainty. Number 3, and this is an important one. Should have maybe started with this one. It's that important. And that is, you want to automate your finances. So right now, what you can do as a very basic thing is, if you don't already have an automated transfer from your business checking account to your personal checking account, and then from your personal checking to an investment account, and then automating your actual investments, do that now. Whatever you've made in the last 30 days, take 10% of that and make that an automated transfer, and you will be amazed at how fast this compounds. I have a client named Shannon. The guy's doing about 50 grand a month, and he's the kind of guy who kind of lives in the woods and he likes to hunt and fish. In fact, when we had our Q4 mastermind earlier this month, he was like, oh, I'm not sure I want to go because it's buck season. And I was like, well, fuck buck season. You're coming to the mastermind. So we did. Long story short, he's built a nice, solid cushion for himself, a multi-6-figure net worth. And he's done that completely on autopilot. And he's actually way richer than a lot of people that I know who make 7 figures in their actual business. Why? Is because he set up a very basic automation to take the emotion out of the financial game of running your online business. Number 4, we want to make sure that we make our decisions only based on data. When my clients come to me with a question, I don't really give a shit what their actual question is, not because I don't care, but because usually it's the wrong question. And because the quality of our life and the quality of our business is based on the quality of the questions that we ask ourselves, the number one best quality question that I've ever come up with is, what does the data say to do? And by the way, I didn't come up with that. The physical laws of the universe came up with that because there's mathematics that allows us to achieve anything that we want. And if you don't know the math and you don't know the data, it's impossible to achieve what you want with any sort of degree of certainty. The only other option is luck. So, what does the data say to do? What bottlenecks does it say your business needs to have attention paid to? What is the number one constraint? We set all of our clients up on a tracking system that we call Teddy, and it's specifically built for online coaches, consultants, agency owners, business models. And it's built to make it really straightforward to diagnose and fix problems in the business. And it really goes a long way to avoiding a lot of back and forth, a lot of he said, she said, a lot of I feel likes. And we don't waste any time with that. And so my clients, they get such great results is because they're now starting to default to what does the data say to do, not what do I feel like doing. A client comes and says, I want you to look at my offer. Well, let's look to see if the data tells us that we even have an offer problem. Many times you don't. And so you want to make sure that you become hyper data driven. Follow the rest of the channel. Check out the other videos that I've made on this. I walk through the entire KPI tracking system in a video I made a couple weeks ago. You can find that on the rest of the channel, but you have to become data driven. It's why Warren Buffett says, if you can't manage your emotions, you can't manage money. And why he also says numbers, accounting, is the language of business. And why Hormozy says, if you don't measure, you don't care. Or the best way that I've heard it put by my client Brandon is, if you're not tracking, you're slacking. All right, I gotta show you this cave real quick. This is unbelievable. So for number 5 here, I don't know if the echo is gonna be bad, but I just had to get this as a shot. You wanna make sure that you track your progress daily. Some people say you should look at it quarterly or monthly or even weekly. Daily. I've learned that the closer that you pay attention to your numbers, that's your finances and your business KPIs, well, if you pay attention to them, they will pay you. We also understand that money flows where attention goes. And so if your attention has not been on your money, or if it's only been on the vague lack thereof, you're in a really tough spot. And so when you first do this, like when we first have our clients set up the Teddy tracking system and we first have our clients set up our financial tracking system, a lot of times the things that they say they're doing, like what they think they're doing per month, isn't actually reality. They might say, oh yeah, I'm doing 60 grand a month, but when it comes down to it and we actually look at the actual statistics, it turns out that they're not. And a lot of times that can be a challenging thing for them to experience emotionally, which is why I had to run down here and get a copy of this book, because the one thing that when my clients set this up, if they're disappointed by what they see, we got to be able to basically get past that disappointment and not let it be an ego hit or a guilt trip or anything like that. So you can actually grab a copy of this. It's a book that I wrote called The 7-Figure Mind Method in the description of this video. And it has a process in the back that basically allows you to discharge any negative feeling. And going back to the Warren Buffett quote that I mentioned earlier, if you can't manage your emotions, you can't manage money. And you can't have a 7-figure business unless you first have a 7-figure mind. So grab that in the description. You'll be glad you did. All right. By the way, side note, this isn't even one of the laws, but I'm going to make it one because I think it's really, really important and something that I've lived by. And once you get past the emotional aspect of this, of other people thinking you're weird, it makes your life so much fucking better. And that is, watch what the masses are doing and then do the exact opposite. So this resort that we're staying at, it's a destination wedding for friends of ours. It's really nice. There's lots of people here. It's huge. The place is enormous. And we were up by the pool earlier today and we were like, you know, where do we want to actually hang out? And this spa area, we had kind of peeked in yesterday when we arrived. And we were like, that seems to be the coolest place here. And so I came down here today and I'm like, I would like to spend the day here. And so what's funny is very few people seem to actually spend the day here. There's nobody here. And so to the spa people, I'm like, how much do I have to pay you to basically hang out here all day? And they're like, well, we don't really do that. I'm like, I understand. That's awesome. How much would I have to pay you to hang out here all day? And so after kind of going back and forth and confusing the hell out of the desk workers, we finally landed on a flat rate that I'm like, cool, charge it to the room. I want this space to myself today. And I basically created a rule for ourselves for the day and I invented it and I made it happen. And I didn't take their, oh, we don't really do that, sir. I don't really care, right? So when you create your own rules of the game, life becomes a lot more fun and cool and interesting. So when you see what the masses are doing, do the opposite. And there's nothing that you can't accomplish if you just have a very strong intention. And now we've kind of got our, situation here. And if you look, this is our view. There's nobody here. Isn't that fucking amazing? Right? So we got to create that for ourselves while everybody else is sitting there up there with the masses. Kids are screaming and shit like that. I don't care. I get to be down here and film in the coolest place that honestly I've seen potentially ever. I mean, this is nuts. This is gnarly. And by the way, it was only like $500. We have this whole place to ourselves for the day. Pretty nuts. All right, next rule. We want to solve the problem, not the symptom. So right now, if you're dealing with low close rates, high cost per lead, high cost per call, a team member being a pain in the ass, a client being a pain in the ass, those are all symptoms. We want to follow those symptoms all the way upstream to where we get to the actual root problem that's causing those symptoms to happen. So as a simple example to illustrate this, I used to have a sales team. I used to have a setter team. I used to have an entire team of 23 people, and that became kind of a pain in the butt, right? You're managing salespeople, you're managing their emotions. There's lots of things that we have to do to sometimes compromise in that case, or think we have to compromise. And so many people think that they need to get better closers or a better sales manager or delegate to a sales manager, which, by the way, I've never heard a story of that actually working outside of one or two really unique cases where they were baller at that themselves. And so I've completely solved all of those symptoms by completely eliminating a sales team altogether. So we've automated our acquisition into our high ticket program where nobody even talks to a human, minus maybe a couple back and forth of a question or two in the DMs. And you can see this whole process and see the offer details of what we call our Bulletproof Boardroom. And that's specifically an advisory for 6, 7, and 8-figure online coaches. And the whole goal is to get you peace of mind every day, a business that runs itself, and having your wealth grow every single month so that one day coaching becomes optional, right? The business becomes optional and choices equal freedom. And so that's what we're all about. My point is you can go to my Instagram at bulletproof.john and DM me the word bulletproof, and you'll be able to see all the offer details, including pricing. And you can ask me whatever you want. It's actually really me in there. There's no setters or closers or AI or anything like that. There's just a simple ManyChat automation that qualifies people. And then the only time that I actually do have some kind of a conversation is when they're already qualified. And I have a very specific series of qualifying questions that makes it to where I actually like the people that I talk to. And what's funny, I've made another video on my channel talking about my stats of conversion rates and cost per acquisition and stuff that you can check out. But in the last 30 days, we've acquired 12 new boardroom members, done $326,000 in sales. That's off of 24 applications. So I've rejected half of the applications. And those applications are coming from only 41 qualified people coming into my DMs. That's only 41 people that may or may not have asked a question or needed some clarity on something before they decided to apply or not apply. And so I've literally spent maybe a grand total of 20 minutes in my DMs, and I have not spent hours managing a sales team, hours looking for replacements of sales team and setters and closers that, were kind of questionable or on the chopping block, or dealing with any of the emotional stress. And so that's what I'm talking about when we handle the actual problem. Sometimes you can just delete the whole damn thing. And that's my entire goal, is to go, what are the least moving parts that I need in order to accomplish my goal? And we've been trained into thinking that we need way more. And that's what people think they need to do in their online coaching business, because they've been trained by the others who haven't been very efficient themselves to believe that that's the only solution. And all they're doing is solving symptoms. And they're not even solving symptoms, they're prolonging the symptoms. And so we need to think about how can we be very efficient. And just as a side note, depending on when you're watching this, I know this video is going to drop probably the day before I do a workshop called the Purge to Profit workshop, where I'm going to walk you through how we cut 90% of literally our client base, our team base, our client base, our systems, and we've made way more profit in way less time with way less moving parts. And quite honestly, I love it. So check that out. I might even have a replay for sale for you in the description. If not, you can DM me on Instagram and yell at me. All right, but let's go check out the rest of this spa. All right, next rule is you want to view everything that you're trying to get in life like a map, right? So in order to navigate, we need to know exactly where we are, exactly where we're going, and then we reverse engineer the directions, just like your phone GPS, and then we just follow those directions. And so most people in life don't know exactly where they are. If they do, they are trying to avoid looking at it because it's painful. They don't like where they are. They don't have a very clear idea of where they're going. They just want someplace better, or 100K months, or be a millionaire, or whatever it is. Those are very vague destinations. So it's kind of like you're saying, I'm lost in the Amazon rainforest and I want to get out. It's like, great, that's a huge place to be lost in. Where exactly are you? I don't know, right? And that's the fundamental issue, is lack of clarity on exactly where you are, exactly where you're trying to go. And so the first thing that we do with our clients is get hyper clear on what is the end destination, where exactly are you in terms of net worth, in terms of everything that has to do with the business KPIs, and then we just reverse engineer the whole thing. And many times the expectation that it's going to be really fast and easy is squashed at that point, because many online coaches are just delusional and they're afraid to look at reality. And so it's kind of challenging at times emotionally for most people to actually get there, but there's no other way to do it, unfortunately. It's not like that's like my way. It's just like that's how you navigate the physical universe. We want to make sure that we treat everything like a map and we're very clear on both of those things. Otherwise, you're just going to stay stuck and you're not going to know why. All right, let's check out the other side of this spa real quick and see what we come up with. By the way, this whole place to ourselves. This is insane. This is absolutely nuts. I get to film in here and shit, right? I didn't even ask, by the way. I just started filming and they don't bother us. It's amazing. When you just move with clear intention, what happens in life? Pretty wild. All right, next point. If you are an online coach, agency owner, consultant, online business owner, and you're asking clients to do stuff that you're not willing to do, you're basically fucked. And so that's why the next point is you want to make sure that you're 100% congruent with what you want others to do. Be the client that you want to attract. This is an incredibly important lesson. It's one of the biggest outpoints that I see in working with people, is they want other people to pay in full, yet when it comes to paying for stuff that they know they need to do, they haggle about payment plans. So when we're talking about being congruent, pay in full for the stuff that you need, and you will attract more people that pay in full for your stuff. Don't be a pain in the ass with the people that you look for advice from, and people that look to advice from you and hire you for your services won't be a pain in the ass for you. And so if you're finding yourself complaining about prospects that are wishy-washy, that say they're going to wait till later, that don't pay in full, that need to talk to their wife, the fucking tooth fairy, whatever it is, the first place that I'm looking if I'm you is, where am I doing that in my life? And if you're like, oh, I'm not doing that at all, it's just them, well, we got to go back to the first rule that we were talking about, and that is taking 100% responsibility for your own life and your own results. So you have to be congruent. Otherwise, you're going to have a very, very challenging time. And it's basically virtually going to be impossible to grow, to get the things that you want, and do cool shit like we're doing right here. So be congruent. For the love of God, be the client that you're trying to attract. Train your clients to be that way as well. And your life is just going to be way fucking easier. Next point is, many people spend their entire lives trying to convince people of stuff, trying to sell them, right? Trying to coerce them into their way of thinking. Don't do that. The best analogy that I've got is pulling the rope. So picture this. Picture we have a really big rope, like one of those cruise ship ropes, you know, and it's over your shoulder and you're pulling it, pulling it, pulling it. It's 1,000 feet long. Some people are going to come along and be like, hey, why are you pulling this rope? Where are you going with it? and you're like, I'm going here for this reason. And some people will be like, oh, that's cool, see you later. Some people will go, can I help? And they will start pulling with you, making the job easier. And some people will come and sit on the rope and get pulled. And some people will take the rope and try to pull it in the opposite direction and fight you. Your entire goal is not to try to get the people that are not helping you to help you. It's not to try to get the people that are helping you to keep helping you. Your job is just to keep pulling the rope and say, I'm going in this direction for these reasons. You're free to join. You're free to do whatever you want. I'm just pulling this rope, pulling this rope, pulling this rope. And to do that, you just have to be very clear on where you're going and why you're pulling this rope in that direction. And some people will come on and help you for a little bit, and then they'll leave. Some people will help you for a little bit and then start hindering you for a little bit. It doesn't matter. Your job is just to keep pulling the rope. And when you look at it this way, it allows you to completely be detached from what other people are doing and more focused on what you're doing. And so the more that you can be very clear on where you're going, the more attractive you actually become to the other people that want to be a part of what you're doing. The movie Forrest Gump, when he starts running, and people are like, I love your movement, dude. I want to run with you. You really figured it out, man. He's got hundreds of people that are running across the country with him. And he's like, I don't know, I just like running. And that's why he was doing what he was doing. But he was so convicted in his very simple goal of just running that he attracted the attention of everyone on planet Earth. And so if you're looking at it that way, not focused on what other people are doing, but focused on what you're doing, I found that to be way more effective. And you just chill the fuck out about what they're doing and not worry about it so much. And the last one, and this one really hits home with my clients, is you can only create to the degree that you're willing to destroy. And so many times we find ourselves trying to grow, but in order to grow, we have to destroy what we previously built to a large degree. Whether that's we have to destroy our identity or fire people that aren't going to help us get to the next level, or start working with new mentors that, we've outgrown the mentors that we were working with. Many people are so afraid to ruin relationships, destroy stuff, that they keep people for way too long that they know they should have fired. They keep clients for way too long that they know they probably should have fired. They're staying in relationships for way too long. They keep running old playbooks that even if they don't work, they just keep running them. And they're not willing to destroy. And the reason for this is very simple. It's because as soon as we destroy something, we have to admit that we were wrong about it, or so the mind thinks, right? Which isn't true. There's no such thing as right or wrong. It's just a spectrum of effectiveness. What I mean by that is what might be right for me is wrong for you. What might be right for you is wrong for me. That's why we need to track data, so we know the effect of our beliefs, of our actions, of our systems, of our people. And that's why it's not right or wrong or create or destroy. It's just different evolutions of the things that we're doing in our journey. And so if you're afraid to fire somebody, that means you're definitely hindering your growth, as just a simple example, because the person that's required as a manager has to be fiscally responsible as the business owner financially to not keep people that shouldn't be kept. One of my mentors, Keith Cunningham, said that paying for overhead, meaning people, systems, softwares, whatever, that you don't need to support revenue that you don't have is stupid. And by the way, great book, The Road Less Stupid by Keith Cunningham, highly recommend. But we have to be willing to cut stuff. And don't worry, you're not wrong, you're not a bad person, they'll be fucking fine, they'll figure it out. But you don't run a charity, you run a business. And it's very important that you see things from an objective perspective and not get caught up into the emotional, oh no, this is gone now. No, it's not. Nothing, energy is neither gain nor loss. It only is transformed or transferred from one form to another. It's the law of conservation of energy. So if you're firing somebody, it feels like a loss. If you lose money, it feels like a loss. No, there's just new forms in which those same benefits are showing up. And that's how you want to rewire your mind. You can use our book or just use this thought process to look for, in what new way is the thing that I've perceived to have lost now showing up in my life? It's there if you actually look for it. So take the time to actually do that, and you'll realize there's no such thing as loss or destruction, only transformation of energy from one form to another. And when you come from that place, you realize you already have everything that you're looking for. It just takes a different form. And a final example I'll give you of this really hits home, and I hope it hits home for you, is if you have a family or something right now that you really cherish, whether it's a relationship that you're in, whether you're married or not, whether you have kids, a dog, whatever it is, think of that right now. And now think if I said, I'm going to offer you $1 million to sell your family, would you take it? Probably not. So if you wouldn't take it, that means you have the equivalent benefit of $1 million. It's just not in cash form, it's in relational form. I did this exercise with one of my clients, Justin, who just got a new puppy dog. He and his girlfriend got a new dog. And I'm like, all right, this new dog, would you sell your dog for $1 million? He's like, absolutely not. I'm like, how about 10 million? He's like, no. And I'm like, well, come on, that's a lot of money. He's like, nope, I wouldn't do it. I'm like, why? That's a connection. It's something that we have together. And it's something that really money can't buy. We went all the way up to $1 billion. And the truth is, if you have your health, if you have a dog, if you have a family, if you have a wife, the reality is that if you wouldn't sell them or your health for any dollar amount, that means you have the equivalent in value right now. It just has a different form. How many billionaires or millionaires do you know that are miserable and they're in and out of relationships with the gold diggers, and their kids might hate them because they're, entitled or whatever, and they're trying to spend their way out of these situations and they can't do it. So the reality is you already have what you're looking for. It just has a different form. And so the more that you can live in that state and realize that, oh, I want to get to $1 million a month or 100K a month or become a millionaire, the more that you realize you already have that equivalent value, the more abundant you feel. And I'm not even like an abundance gratitude guy. It's just like practically that's the reality of it. And it really just makes you default to feeling grateful for what you do have. Because I know there's tons of billionaires right now who would love to pay $1 billion to have my youth, my wife, my relationship, and the peace of mind that I have right now, despite the fact that I don't have $1 billion in net worth. I have over $1 billion in life worth, and so do you, but you just have to take the time to realize it. So if you want to see the whole breakdown of exactly how we get our clients to 50 to 100K a month in take-home profit, I made a whole video on that. You can check that out right here. And I really appreciate you watching. Let me know if this was valuable. Give me a like, give me a subscribe. Let me know what the most valuable point of this was for you. If you made it this far, appreciate it. Thanks so much. See you in the next one.